Good afternoon. Good afternoon and namaste. Sorry for my little delay there, but yeah, the internet connection was not super hot. So without further ado, we will get started on today's session. So welcome, thank you for joining me. I am going to continue with our yoga therapy sessions, and today our focus is going to be on our hip flexors and the lower back. So we're going to work in the hip flexors in a way that we are both going to kind of stretch and strengthen this muscle. So this muscle that begins in the lower back spine, it comes across the front of the pelvis and the hips, and it connects to the very top of the inner thighs. It's the only muscle in the body that connects the lower body to the upper body, and quite often in people in bodies, the hip flexors can be tight, especially if you sit a lot. So you've had a job over the years that's involved a lot of sitting or driving, desk work. Also maybe even a lot of strain from repetitive action, whether that even be running or cycling. And what happens is when the hip flexors are tight, it pulls down on the sit bones and it creates this tilt in your pelvis. So your pelvis tilts anteriorly. So basically it kind of goes into this position like a sway back. And then what happens there is it puts added compression into the lower part of your back. Now, very often when the hip flexors are weak or if they're tight, then of course other muscles have to kind of work twice as hard, and quite often the glutes the buttock muscles can also show up quite weak as well. So we're going to be focusing on hip flexors and also on the lower back area, as in just kind of like strengthening the back body. Okay, what you'll need for today's practice is 2 blocks. Okay, I've just got a blanket there just for me to rest my head on. And I'm going to try really hard also to make this another kind of 45-minute session. Pull myself in a little bit more. Okay, so that it's doable. Yeah, you don't have to allocate like an hour and a half to one side in order to do this practice. All right, let's get started. We'll get straight into it. So just keep your props handy. Okay, put mine back there. Let's come to lie down. Just using the blanket maybe as some support. And we'll start off in constructive resting pose. So we're just going to take the feet towards the edges of the yoga mat and let the knees gravitate in. What's really special about this practice, this pose, I should say, is that this pose releases the hip flexors, the iliac psoas muscle. It releases them. So that's why it feels so nice, like on the lower back. You almost feel the lower back here just releasing into the ground. So we'll just allow for those hip flexors to release. Just rest your hands onto your lower belly and relax the shoulders. Maybe lengthen the back of the neck slightly. And just closing your eyes down. Let's just start to kind of unravel ourselves from what may have been a busy morning or a busy day so far. And just start to bring your awareness onto your breath. Slowly beginning to lengthen your inhale and deepen your exhale. Just breathing in and breathing out through the nose. Breathing in, just feeling the belly expand, the rib cage expand. Breathing out, feeling the belly contract and the navel falling back towards the spine. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here. Just allowing the body just to become calm, a little quiet. Just stepping away from the busyness, the craziness of our everyday life. Alrighty, let's just start to bring the feet into about hip distance apart. And you can either take 1 or 2 blocks here to place underneath the sacrum. So again, that will all depend on really how tight you may be in your hip flexors. So we're just going to lift up the pelvis, sliding the blocks. I've taken 2 blocks, one on top of the other. Again, if you don't have blocks, you can always use some books here. Personally, I find this a little more comfortable on the head and the neck to remove the blanket from underneath the head. So just be mindful, you don't want to be like flattening the back of your neck into the ground. Okay, so from where we are, just aligning your ankles underneath your knees. We're going to bring the right knee in towards the chest. We'll just interlace the fingers here at the back of the right thigh. Now let's gently drawing that right knee in towards you. And then flexing the right ankle, we'll just start to breathe in and extend the right leg, the knee. And then point the toes and exhale and bend the knee. Let's do that 4 more times. Inhale as you straighten the right leg. And then point the toes, exhale and bend the knee. Flex the ankle, inhale and straighten. Point the toes, exhale and bend. Let's do 2 more. So this is also very soothing and releasing on the sciatic nerve. Flex the ankle, inhale, straighten, and then point the toes and exhale and bend. And again, just drawing that right knee in towards you. So you're going into a deep hip flexion there on the right side. Now let's come up onto the toes of the left foot. Okay? And try not to pick up your heel, but rather just slide or extend that left leg down the mat. Okay, so just straighten that left leg away from you as though it's going in a straight line all the way down the mat. So this is where now you'll start to get into the quadriceps, and into the front of your left hip. All right, so that's where you're working into your hip extensors. So right knee is coming into hip flexion, and left leg, you're working into your hip extensors there. The shoulders relaxed. Just coming back to the breath. And think about trying to stay right in the center of your left heel. So it kind of feels like your inner left thigh is rolling down towards the floor. Take a couple more cycles. And slowly let's bring that left heel back in underneath the knee, and then we'll step the right foot down onto the floor. So again, as you step both feet down, feet parallel, knees in line with the hips, you've got the ankles directly underneath the knees. All right, let's change sides. Bring the left leg in, hug the left knee into the chest. Keep pressing down through the inner edge of the right foot. Flex the left ankle, and on inhalation, working towards extending that left knee, and then point the toes, exhale and bend the knee. And again, flex the ankle, inhale here as you straighten, point the toes, exhale and bend. Flex the ankle, inhale, straighten, Point the toes, exhale, bend. And 2 more. Flex, inhale. Point the toes, bend the knee, exhale. Last one. Flex the ankle, inhale, straighten. Point the toes, exhale, and bend. And then again, let's just hug that left knee in towards the chest. Lift the toes of the right foot, and then again, sliding that right leg in a straight line, long down the mat. Inner right thigh rolling down, and again, ankle flex, toes pointing to the ceiling. Just feeling into the front of the right hip and thigh. And then slowly, the end of your next exhalation, let's bring that right heel back in. And then stepping the left foot onto the ground. We'll just lay the arms by the sides of the body for a moment. Just gently tuck the shoulder blades in. We're just coming into a supported bridge. As we start to stretch into the thighs, the quadriceps, the front of the hips, the abdomen and the chest. Now we're going to work a little bit more here on just engaging and working with the glutes, the gluteus maximus, in our bridge pose. So if you still have your blanket underneath your head, please do remove it just for now. And then we're going to lift the hips up off the blocks. Keep the hips lifted, okay, and just take the blocks to one side. But just taking one block, bring one block in between your inner thighs, okay, and use your inner thighs just to hug and squeeze that block. Now, as you're hugging the block, you may feel or notice how your gluteus maximus, and you can always just use your fingers and have a little feel around how the glutes have now fired up. All right, take a breath in here, lift the hips. Exhale, slowly lower down, one vertebra at a time. Inhalation, press down through the feet, hug the block, lengthen the tailbone, and lift the hips. Exhale and slowly lower down. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale and lift. And exhale and lower. And again, inhale and lift. This time hold. Okay, now we're just going to pulse for 2 and come down for 1. So pulse, pulse, and come down. All right, so inhale, lift up, pulse, pulse, and lower. 2 more times. Inhale, lift, lengthen the tailbone, pulse, pulse, and lower. Again, just note the back body really getting to work here. So inhale, lift, pulse, pulse, and lower. Good. Now one last time. This time we're going to inhale, lift, and hold. Grab hold of the edges of your mat and pull on the edges of the mat just to lift the hips a little higher. Ooh. Keep hugging the block with the inner thighs. Lengthen tailbone to the backs of the knees. Keep the breathing nice and easy, nice and steady. Let's just hold for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly come down one vertebra at a time. And just remove the block. And then come back into constructive rest. Take the feet wide. And let's let the knees just gravitate in towards one another. Just rest. A lot of work there, so let's just release the hip flexors. Excellent. All right, let's toe heel again. The feet coming back in here to a hip distance apart. And then this time we're going to lift the toes of the right foot and slide the right leg down the mat. So note I'm refraining from picking up the foot and stretching it out. Okay? And the reason for that is because I have to, first of all, move into hip flexion to then go into extension, rather than me just lifting the toes and sliding that heel away all the way down the mat. So we're going to work a little bit now on strengthening your hip flexors. Now we can't just work with the hip flexors, we've got to work with the core as well here. So engage the core, draw the navel in towards the spine. Place your hands onto the two bones that you feel there in your pelvis. Just connect to those there with your hands pressed down. All right, we're going to take the left leg just off to the left, just enough so I can feel the heel on the floor rather than on the yoga mat. And we're going to turn that left foot out on a slight angle to the left. Okay, so we're going to go into this little external, let me slide back a little bit here. Little external rotation there on that left leg. Okay. So hands pressing down onto the pelvis, engage the core, and then inhale, lift that left leg about an inch off the floor. Stay with the breath, and then maybe just see if you can lift it about a foot off the floor. Now ground down through that right side. If it's rocking up, if you feel it lifting off the floor, press down. If it's not quite working with your hands on your pelvis, you might want to kind of grab hold of the edges of the mat. Okay, and then just lower the leg about an inch off the floor. Brace the core. Inhale, lift the leg about a foot. And then exhale, lower down about an inch. And then let's go again. Raise the leg about a foot. Ooh, feeling this? And then lower down about an inch. Two more. Inhale, lift the leg. Exhale, lower. Keep the navel pulling to the spine. Last one. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower about an inch. And then relax that leg back onto the mat. All right, let's bring that left leg back in. And then we'll change sides. So just take the right leg off to the right till you feel your heel on the floor. Externally rotate the hip, turn the right foot out on an angle to the right, and engage the abdomen. Hands resting onto the pelvis. Inhale and exhale, lift the right leg about an inch off the floor. And then try lifting it about a foot off the floor. Lower it down once again about an inch. Hold, engage the core, left side pressing down. Lift the leg about a foot. Lower down about an inch. Keep the navel to the spine. And then again, lift the leg. And lower down about an inch, just hover. Let's go two more times. Lift the leg. And lower the leg about an inch. And then one more time. Lift the leg. Lower down about an inch. Hold it. And then release it. Very nice. And just bring that right leg back. And then just like the legs now, again, just completely relax. Arms by your side. And just take a little rest here in between postures. And we'll go ahead here now and bend both knees. Take the feet to the sides of the mat. Let the knees gravitate in again, coming back into constructive rest. This time take your arms out wide to the side, palms face the sky. Taking in a deep inhalation. Exhale, drop the knees over to the left side. Now again, you want to keep your feet at the edges of the yoga mat, okay? Just to get the kind of like the stretch that we're looking for. If I narrow the stance, I'm not really going to get into the region of the front of that right hip. So this is super nice for kind of opening up the right side of your lower back, but just feeling here into the front again of your your right hip and thigh. So slightly lengthen the tailbone. It's a little lengthening of the tailbone there. And just know what happens when we just take that right arm and just stretch it over the head behind you. Bring the left hand behind and just grab hold of the right wrist and just give it a little pull, a little stretch so you can feel the stretch through that right side. So remember where I said at the beginning, where the hip flexors begin, the lower back spine, and come all the way across the front of the pelvis, attaching to the very top of the inner thigh. Imagine visualizing this deep muscle here. There's a subtle twist on the spine here as well. Let's take a couple more breaths. Good. Keep the right arm just where it is, but just bring the left arm back out to the left. And now we're going to pick up that left ankle and just rest it outside of the right knee. And notice if you feel a little bit more of a lengthening, like you're lengthening the psoas muscle through that right side. And remember again, if something just doesn't feel comfortable for you, if you're just like, I'm not sure about this, then, listen to that. Use your intuition and just do what feels right for you here. Okay, let's slowly release that left ankle back onto the mat. And then extend the right arm back out to the right. Draw the navel to the spine. And then inhale, bring the legs back to the center. Pause for a few breaths, like 3 deep breaths just in the center. Inhale fully. Exhale, let the lower back just release into the mat. Deep breath in. And out. This time again, we'll inhale. Exhale, drop the knees over to the right side. So again, keep the feet as wide as the mat, this wide leg twist. Lengthen the tailbone. And just slowly start to reach the left arm back into that space behind, and again feeling all through and around that left thigh, hip, into the lower abdomen, into the lower left side of the back. And maybe reaching the right arm back behind you, just to grab hold of the wrist and pull back, and you're kind of in charge here as how deep you want to stretch through that left side of the body. Okay, and then from there, let's keep that left arm over the head. Take the right arm back out to the right. And then we'll lift the right ankle outside of that left knee. And then notice how you feel that little bit more lengthening. Breathe here. At the end of your next exhale, let's release the right foot back to the right edge of the mat and extend the left arm out to the left. On your next exhale, engage the core and then bringing the legs back to the center. And then again, just head back into constructive rest. Relax your arms by the sides, let your knees gravitate in, shoulders relaxed. We'll bring the feet in again a little closer. Let's just bring both knees into the chest for the moment. Give yourself a little rock here from side to side. Let's roll on over onto one side. And then from your side, draw yourself up onto your seat. Okay. We're going to go ahead and extend both legs out. I can get a nice view of my dirty feet there. Okay, so this is similar. We're going to go back again into strengthening the hip flexors. So it's similar to what we did lying down really, but of course we're seated now, so it's a little bit more unforgiving. So when you've got your legs extended out, just bring your hands back behind you. Watch you're not leaning too far back, okay? Just using your hands there for some support, but not just using your hands. Again, also here you want to engage your core and draw the navel in towards the spine, okay? And then we're going to take a block and just bring it inside of the right leg. And we're going to do this 3 times. We're going to start off here just on that flattest part, okay? So the hands behind you for support, draw the navel to the spine, okay? So we're going to lift the right leg up and over the block, okay? For 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now, if that didn't feel too bad for you, let's go ahead and turn it onto its edge. And if it did, let's just keep it flat and do another 5 that way. Okay. So again, support yourself with your arms, draw the navel to the spine, up and over. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, feeling that one. Okay, so let's switch sides. Let's take the block over to the left leg. Lean back. Oops. Let's start off with it flat. Draw the navel to the spine, up and over for 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm feeling this, and 5. Waha! Alrighty. And then I'm going to take it onto the edge. Maybe you'll do the same. Okay. Pull the navel in, up and over. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Excellent. And then just give your legs a little bit of a shake out there. Now, if you come back to this as a recording, and actually what I would suggest that you do there is maybe even hit pause and start to work from 5 and start to make your way up to maybe 10. And what you could do as an added challenge is take the block all the way up onto its highest part. Okay, so there are ways that you can develop and grow in that strengthening. Okay, so let's just bring the blocks to the top edge of the yoga mat, and we'll come on over here onto our hands and our knees. So let's just come to all fours, and then from all fours we're going to step the right foot up to the right hand. Now, if you need any support, you can bring it underneath the left knee. Okay. And then slowly start to draw yourself here up to kneeling. Think of the flesh of your buttocks here moving down the backs of the legs. That's just the same cue as me saying lengthen your tailbone. Okay. So what you're doing at the back is just showing up here on the front. Then we're going to bring the right hand against the inner right knee. Palm is facing out. And it's similar to like when you had the block in between your thighs when we were working in bridge pose. So I want you to press your hand into your knee and your knee into your hand at the same time. Okay. Turn the torso just a little away from that inner right thigh. So it's coming on a little bit of an angle to the left. And then we're going to breathe in. We're going to reach that left arm up. And then exhale and stretch the left arm over to the right side. Now let me just come and do this facing forward as well so you can see from this angle. Okay, so knee in line, press, lift, little twist to the left, and then up and over. I personally just find this super delicious. And I just really try to kind of picture and visualize that deep iliac psoas muscle, you know, again from the assertion, from the inner thigh, like really coming, I can feel it in the front of the belly, in the lower back spine. A couple more breaths. Good, and then we'll inhale and come on up. And then exhale, and then let's bring both hands down either side of that right foot. All right, so let's switch it out and bring the right knee back and step the left foot forward. Okay, ankle underneath the knee. Bring the hands on top of the left thigh, lift the chest. And again, take the flesh of the buttocks and move it down. Left hand against inner left knee. Hug, squeeze, finding the midline there. Turning the torso on a slight angle to the right. Okay, take the right arm up into the sky. On the next breath in, reach for the ceiling. And then on that breath out, stretching over, all the way over to the left side. Continue just to breathe fully, slowly, deeply, calm. Let's take 2 more cycles of breath here. Good. And then we'll inhale here and come on up. And then exhale and bring both hands down. All right, let's bring that left knee back. And then we're going to come down and onto our belly. Coming down onto the belly, let's just for a moment make a pillow with your hands and then just resting the forehead onto the back of the hand. Just pointing the toes back behind you. All right, so as your toes are being pulled back behind you, you're going to press the feet down into the floor and just lightly lift the knees. So the focus is coming a little bit more onto the back body. Now, like I said before, what is happening on the back body reflects in the front body, but I want you to feel like the sensation is going to be more in the back body than the front body. So by that, we're just going to come into a baby cobra. Set the hands down either side of the chest, about the mid ribs. Roll the shoulders back and then hug the elbows in. As you inhale, press the pubis into the mat and then just lift the head and the chest. I'm probably using more, or I'd say less weight in my hands, so I can actually lift the hands up off the ground. Okay. and using more of that lift by really firing up through the back body here. So collarbones wide, elbows in, hands just light on the ground. Let's exhale and bring the forehead down. Roll the shoulders back, hug the elbows in. Press the pubic bone down into the mat. Now this time keeping the head down, just breathing in and lift the legs. Just lift the legs this time. As you float the legs up off the floor, it's a feeling as though the inner thighs, the inseams of your pants are rolling up towards the ceiling. So this should feel like there's a widening across the back of the thigh. The outer hip and thighs rolling down towards the floor. Keep the head down, take a breath in. And then breathing out, lower the legs down. Again, just come back, make a pillow with the hands, and then rest the forehead onto the hands. Just breathe here, 3 deep breaths. One more cycle. And then coming into, it's known as Vimanasana. It's like a hybrid of locust pose, Salambhasana, and also the cobra. So again, engage the legs by pressing the feet down, lifting the knees, and then press the pubic bone into the floor, tailbone lengthening, again, bum flesh moving to the backs of the thighs. Bring the hands again back to the mid-ribs. Roll the shoulders back here and hug those elbows in. Okay, draw the navel to the spine. We're going to inhale, again, lift the head and the chest. Don't need to lift too high. And then also lift the legs away from the floor. So lifting the knees and lifting the thighs. Now as you breathe in, you're going to separate the feet. You're going to take the legs wide apart. And then exhale, bringing the feet closer together. Maybe the big toes touch, but don't overdo that, especially with your lower back. Okay, inhale, take the feet wide apart. And then exhale, bringing the feet together or close together. 2 more. Inhale, feet wide apart. Exhale, bring the legs in towards one another. You've got it. 1 more time. Inhale, take the feet wide apart. And then exhale, bring the feet in together. Take a breath in. And then breathing out, lower the feet down. Let's just slowly press into our hands here and lift the chest. Take your knees a little wider than the hips and bring the big toes just a touch. And moving slowly, transitioning back into child's pose. Resting the forehead onto the ground. Or if the forehead doesn't quite come to the ground, then just place a block underneath the forehead. And we'll bring the hands underneath the shoulders. And then from there, just lifting up through the chest. We'll swing our legs around. And let's come down onto our back. So just nice and slowly, let me just bring the blanket in here for underneath the head. Start to lower it down. And then just making your way back to constructive resting pose. Again, feet wide. Knees are going to gravitate in. Just relaxing, resting your hands onto the lower belly, the lower abdomen. Relax your shoulders. And please make sure at this point, we're just going to head into our relaxation from here, but do make sure that you're warm enough, that there's no wrinkles or folds in your clothes. Anything that's going to feel like it's comforting, that is going to soothe the nervous system. Once you begin to settle in to this position, just pause for a moment. Notice what you feel physically in your body. And again, just for myself, I feel a much deeper release of the lower back into the floor. I feel a little more ease and space in and around the hip joint. It even helps to release the shoulders, because it's surprising if we're holding on to a lot of tightness and tension and stress there in that lower part of your body or in the hips, how much it just creeps up into the upper body. We'll just finish off with a few rounds of Samavriti. We're going to be breathing in for a count of 6. We're going to hold for 3. I'm going to breathe out for 6. And again, we'll hold for the count of 3. So just close your eyes and exhale here to empty your lungs. In for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold 1, 2. And out for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold the breath. 1, 2. In for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold the breath. And out, exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold the breath. In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now breathe in. And at the top of that inhalation, just hold the breath. Now just breathe in a little bit more, like you're just trying to sip in a little more air and just fill your lungs right to the brim and just hold it, stay relaxed, stay soft. Open your mouth and now sigh it all out. From here, slowly begin to toe heel the feet in a little closer. At which point now you can choose to fully extend your legs down the mat and just continue with a Shavasana for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. But if you're ready to complete the practice within the time frame that we've allocated, let's just go ahead and bring both knees into the chest. Give yourself a little rock from side to side. Slowly roll over onto one side. And then nice and slowly drawing yourself up here and on to your seat, and just coming up into a comfortable seated position. Let your hands rest on your knees or your mid-thighs, palms up or down. Notice how it feels to be sitting on your seat. Maybe more length through the spine, a little more grounding. Let's bring the palms to join at Anjali Mudra at the heart center. Giving yourself thanks for carving out the time today to nourish your mind and your body and your spirit, and using this tool of yoga to bring that nourishment back to yourself. Slowly bowing your head to your heart and let your eyes flicker open. Thank you for practicing with me today, this short but yet very sweet yoga therapy session. From my heart to yours, thank you and namaste. Thank you. So I hope that you're finding that these 45 minutes are sufficient, because again, often 30 minutes is just not long enough. Often going into an hour, 75 minutes, it's too long. So I'm just kind of like picking out like really the essential postures, and hopefully they're working out for you. And the beauty of this is that I can actually switch it out a little bit as well. So we can come back to the hip flexor practice and do some different postures next time round. So next week, I will bring to you some yoga therapy for the upper back, the neck and the shoulders. But again, this is here for you to drop into whenever you choose to. Always practice safely and mindfully. Listen to your body and just enjoy. Thank you. I so appreciate each and every one of you. From my heart to yours, love, peace, and namaste. Thank you.